Yes,
Yeah, sorry, I lost just now. So yeah, please do the presentation, Juan. So everyone, today, thank you for joining this webinar from ASIS Indonesia. So our guest tonight is from Guatemala. He's like 13 hours different from us. Yeah, he's still in the morning. We are in the evening right now, and then currently Juan is the CEO for Decision Latin America, and then he mentioned just now that he covers some countries in Latin America. Okay, so it's your time now. Juan, please share about the topic today is lesson learned in 2021, a global security perspective. However, Latin American and Caribbean will be the point of the is the main perspective from your side. Juan, please do the presentation.
Thank you, Chico. First of all, I want to thank ASIS Indonesia, Chico, and all the members who received me tonight, today for me, tonight for you, in your house. Thank you very much. So, as you hear, I speak English with a French accent. So that means I speak more than one language. So sometimes, in some English words, maybe you don't hear it correctly, but I think here everybody speaks more than our language, so it's not a problem. So start with the presentation. So who I am? So my name is Juan Carlos Mendo. I am from Spain. I was raised between France and Spain, and I have worked as a security and risk management consultant in Europe, Africa, Latin America at various levels. I have an extensive international experience. Why? Before my civilian career, I have served 15 years in the French army in a corps with named the French Foreign Legion. In my military career, I was specialized in intelligence, and I was doing operations mostly in Arab countries, Africa, and also Latin America, especially in French Guiana, Suriname, doing different kind of works, you know. So after when I finished my military career, I have reconverted in a civilian career as a risk management consultant, and that gives me the opportunity to work in Europe, Africa, and for 15 years now in Latin America. So I have focused on my professional development in the areas of business development, strategic analysis planning, and the execution of complex operations with emphasis on the leadership of multifunctional and international teams. So a specialist actually only in Latin America and the Caribbean. I consider you have to focus on something in life. So focus is very important. If you want to do something not with perfection, but very well done. Remember, perfection don't exist really. That is a philosophical conversation maybe, but it depends of all the people see things. But you have to be very good on what you do. So I've decided to specialize in Latin America and the Caribbean, and I have completed successfully customized projects in several countries of the region and dozens of sectors. So from infrastructure, banking, gastronomy, meaning pharmaceutical, different kind of productions, telecommunications, IT and logistics, preparing, orienting, and implementing big projects with corporate, governmental, and private clients. So I am the CEO of Decision Latam. Decision is an international company, a risk management consultancy company. We have the headquarters in Madrid, Spain. For Latin America is in Guatemala, and for North America and Canada is in Chicago, the US. Also, I am the chairman of the chapter 234 of ASIS International, chapter of Guatemala. I am an observer for Latin America of the International Code of Conduct for Private Security Providers, ICOCA, who is in Switzerland. And also, I am an independent member of the US Department of State Overseas Security Advisory Council. for Guatemala and Central America. So, as everywhere in the world with the COVID-19 crisis, 2020 was a very good year for Latin America from a social point of view. Despite the progress made in the reduction of poverty and inequality and the expansion of the middle income strata between 2002 and 2014, the region's economic and social progress was already showing clear signs of stagnation before the pandemic. The weakness of the welfare state of health and special protection system led to an unprecedented increase of unemployment, falling income, and an increase in poverty that further exacerbated the pre-existing structural problems. But 2021 was showing some recovery, even if there is still a long way to go build more inclusive societies. Latin America has been the region most impacted by COVID-19. 1.5 million people died from the disease, representing 32% of all deaths worldwide, 4 times the region's global population share of 8%. Also, World Bank calculation of excess mortality, the number of deaths above what is usually expected in that time of year, plus Latin America substantially above other regions of the world, and almost certainly the biggest worldwide. The strong impact is mainly due to the difficulty of complying with quarantine and confinement measures. So why advanced countries like we have in Latin America is a puzzle of communities of different languages, different people, but why countries like Mexico, like Argentina, like Brazil, like Chile, was a very straight country in their policies, and Colombia, for example, cannot comply with quarantine and confinement measures or have difficulties. Why? There are big countries, for example, in Ciudad de Mexico, CDMX, with the capital of the Republic of States of Mexico, that is the right name of Mexico. You have only in that country, you have 23 million of people. Imagine in the whole country, also people of different strats. So it's very difficult to say to people who don't have a formal job, they need to go to the street to earn what they need for live every day. They have to be in quarantine and on confinement. It's very difficult. So it's for that in Latin America, the impact of the COVID-19, not only for that, also for some weakness of policies on governments have been that mortal. Crime and violence is a major concern and is continuously one of the highest in the world, particularly in Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Peru, and Brazil. Only in Mexico, for example, is 90 people killed every day. It's more than in some parts of the world who are in open or covered war. In Brazil and Colombia, the same. It's not 19, but it's like 14, 15, depends on the day. In Guatemala, for example, so the Northern Triangle with Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, is approximately 17 people per day. So there's a lot of people, only killed by the organized crime. We don't count car accidents, industrial accidents, and natural disasters. Okay, so we live in a rook continent with difficult conditions sometimes. After a significant decline in 2020 with a very strict lockdown in most of the countries, concern about crime and violence remains today a major concern in the region. The short-lived respite in crime in the early phases of the pandemic has in many places given way to a spike in criminality, primarily concerning violent street crime. So the people lost. We have to do a difference between organized crime on occasional criminals. Imagine you live in a place where you don't have too much too much work, you work occasionally, or you work in the street, for example. Is a lockdown. You don't have nothing. Why you cannot do business in the street, and you have to do something. Your family needs you need to feed your family. So the increase of street crime comes while the people have needs. So we separate occasional criminals here from the organized crime. On that concern about violent street crime comes from that. Reshifting of organized criminal dynamics has also led to spikes of more severe criminal dynamics in some parts of the region, the organized crime. Crucially, as government focus on reactivity in their economies, there exist legitimate doubts as to whether the key factors underlying the security threat in the region will be addressed. Issues that fuel crimes such as income inequality, deficient judicial systems, underfunded and inefficient policing of the proliferation of drugs and extortion, kidnapping, and trafficking gangs are all likely to continue to undermine any short-term gains in security, where political priorities are likely to focus elsewhere. Corruption. Corruption will remain a major challenge across Latin America, posing obstacles for the region economic recovery after the COVID-19 pandemics and undermining already tenuous democratic systems. Governments will continue to use public investment and social spending to address the economic and social fallout of the pandemic, raising the risk that oversight bodies and procurement systems, despite improvement in many countries, will fight to provide a strong safeguard against abuse of public resources. The proliferation of illicit economies in the region, it is a matter of constant concern for governments, but they are perceived as more very passive in terms of their control. Illicit economies often intersect and feed into any number of legal industries, including fishing, gold mining, and the timber trade, for example. The production of drug and drug trafficking, human trafficking, among others, are some of the economies that evolved to an organized crime structure. Until today, the bureaucratic machinery of the war against drugs seems to have Latin America in a dead end. Latin America and the Caribbean is the second most disaster-prone region in the world. Floods are the most common disaster in the region. Brazil ranks among the top 15 countries in the world with the greatest population exposed to river floods. For example, this week, more than 100 people died in Brazil from flood and landslide in one country, in one city. An average of 17 hurricanes per year and 23 Category 5 hurricanes. 25% of earthquakes magnitude 8.0 or higher have occurred in South America. Drugs is a disaster which affects the biggest number of people in the region. Crop yield reduction of 75% in central and eastern Guatemala, southern Honduras, eastern El Salvador, and parts of Nicaragua. In these countries, known as the dry corridor, 8 out of 10 households in the communities most affected by drugs resort to crisis coping mechanisms. The LAC region in general is vulnerable to earthquake. Central and South America have a greater exposure compared to the Caribbean. Central America and the west coast of the South American continent are situated within the ring of fire, a path located along the Pacific Ocean characterized by active volcanoes and frequent earthquakes. The western coast of South America is one of the most seismogenic zones in the world, with more than a quarter of the world 8.0 magnitude or greater earthquake having occurred there. The biggest obstacles to progress in many, if not all, of the countries of the region are their fragmented politics, unstable coalitions, and weak governments. Recent elections in the region have been typified by presidents without sufficient congressional support to carry through their election program. Incumbent presidents face serious challenges, either at the polls when raising popular discontent favors candidates from the political fringe or outsiders, or from possible impeachment. Politics in the region is polarizing more than ever, with center ground candidates struggling to break through in opinion polls, while politicians previously confident in the fringe are feeling more fertile ground for their ideas. During the pandemic, although the elemental characteristic, although the number of democracies have remained, more than half of countries have experienced erosion in their elemental characteristics, leading to hybrid regimes become autocratic and dictatorships are consolidated. A large number of governments took advantage of the region to weaken the state of law, freedoms, and institutional controls. An example of this are the problem governance issues observed in Peru and Bolivia, or the attacks against electoral bodies in Brazil, El Salvador, Mexico, and Peru, corruption scandals like the Pandora Papers in Chile, Colombia, or Ecuador, and the populist drifts. The crisis of expectation, the social protests, often violent and led by young people, speak of frustrated expectation of vanishing hopes. Governments have not been able to adapt to the social and cultural change experienced by Latin America in the last 20 years, while citizenships operate under the logic of the 21st century, with digitalization as an accelerator, the state and the institutions continue to operate under the logic of the 20th century, a perfect storm of a more demanding citizenry, a democracy unable to keep up on an economy headed for a new lost decade. After an anemic growth in the 2014-2019 5 years period, the shock of the pandemic and timid projection for the next 2 years, a crisis of certainties, higher levels of economic and political uncertainty due to external and internal factors increase political risk. The unknown about the impact of the new variants of the pandemic, the macroeconomic imbalance led by inflation and the scarce fiscal margin in more indebted states will introduce new difficulties. Latin America will face another complex year. The level of uncertainty, volatility, political risk, and polarization will remain high. For their part, populism, anti-elite sentiment, and xenophobic nativism will continue to be present, and the combination of all this will make governance increasingly complex. Conclusions. Even without the challenges facing the region, the operation of international and regional companies have continued. The challenges in security and risk management faced by professionals specialized in these areas have been very challenging, from the disruption in logistic chains to the adaptation of operational processes to the containment measures of COVID-19. Security and risk management professionals have managed to navigate the crisis with resilience and rise to the occasion. Over the past 2 years, the pandemic, together with a worldwide economic slowdown, have aggravated the inequalities that burst to the surface of the protests of the late 2019 in Latin America. However, despite major challenges, as the global economy booms back, there are already signs that economic growth is on track to recover the growth lost, if not in 2022, at least 2023. Plenty for individual opportunity remains for firms to selectively trade and invest. However, the creation of a sustainable upward trajectory across the region will depend upon steady policies, processes, and laws that give the rest of the world the confidence they need to invest and work in partnership with Latin America and the Caribbean across a broad spectrum to promote economic growth and social equity. That's it. Thank you very much. Open for questions.
Okay, thank you, Juan. Thank you for the presentation. So yeah, it's kind of scary there, right? So I mean that you face the natural disaster, you face the political unrest, you face the gangs thing, the criminal things, and then you also find there's trouble also because of this pandemic, right? I think it's also happening in other part of the world, right? Okay, so it's the question and answer session right now. So teman-teman jika ada yang mau bertanya silahkan langsung tanyakan. Jadi yang disampaikan, sorry I use bahasa Indonesia ya. apa yang disampaikan oleh Juan barusan adalah apa yang terjadi di 2021 dan juga dia masih ada rasa optimis di 2022, 2022 and 2023 karena ada ekonomi sudah ada indikasi ekonomi meningkat di Latin Amerika. Namun demikian memang Latin Amerika menghadapi challenge tantangan-tantangan terhadap security itu ya. Jadi ini kalau ada mau bertanya mengenai karena kita bisa belajar dari negara lain ataupun juga kontinen Latin Amerika untuk di Indonesia, atau mungkin bisa juga disampaikan ke Juan ininya
yang kuning kan?
Silakan, mau ada pertanyaan? Oh bukan tadi. Oke, ya ada pertanyaan silakan. Okay, so any question, please. So if you cannot speak in English, just let me know and I will translate it for you. Okay.
Selamat malam Pak Ciko.
Ya, ya Bu Vera.
Iya, saya Vera atau Ivo Pak dari NCC.
Ya.
To Mr. Mendo, so we see about the trouble in your country and continent. So I would like to know how your country to maintains the security there, sir. I mean, how the people in your country to secure, and how the physical security in maybe office or government to maintain how to build a secure or safe environment.
Okay, I think that the question is how you understand?
Yeah, yes, of course.
Okay, yeah, please do.
Understand, Verawati.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
So, you know, you have to adapt to your environment. You sometimes fight against is a loss of time, resources, and energy. So the people here, starting from the normal people who have to go in the streets, who have to go to work every day with their own car, with the community transport, but they are used to live in that conditions. So they have a lot of awareness. They know at what time they can do to some parts of the city, for example. They know what they don't have to see, what they don't have to do. So it's an awareness while you live in that environment. At governmental level, is different. So you have to fight against organized crime. You have to control the petty crime. You have to control the illicit commerce. You have to fight against extortion, against kidnapping. So it's a lot of things to do. And if you see in our region, so we're here in Central America, we are little countries with a lot of mountains and jungles. So some parts of the countries are not really controlled by the government. So in that part of the countries, obviously, is where the organized crime stay, and it's very difficult to fight, you know, especially with drug trafficking. So they make bases, they make aviation stripes. So it's very complicated. Not only in Central America, countries like Brazil, who are big countries, Mexico, for example, or Colombia, have the same problems. At corporate level, we obviously employ all the rules of corporate security, like ESRM, okay, enterprise security and risk management, who is for 2 years now, ASIS are pushing through that processes. And obviously, it depends of the operation, the physical security of the places, meaning in the mining industry, in the gas and oil, for example, also are security measures taken there on risk management bases are very high. Why you don't have only to look about the HSQ part of your operation. I was working many years in the mineral oil on power electricity industry, and so the HSQ side of the job is very important. You are working with discharge terminals. We are working with with infrastructure who are very difficult to maintain. So it's a lot of things, but not only that. So you have pipelines. The organized crime comes to steal combustible directly from the pipeline. They steal the cargo trucks with combustible. So it's a lot of challenges, but you do it. You do it. You do it while you adapt, and when you adapt, you understand what you have to do. So obviously, each part of the world is different, but when you face challenges, you have to be fluid. You have to understand the challenges by adapting to them. And when you understand your challenges, you can react accordingly.
So the security companies there, you also have like a man guarding security company, right? So the one that
we don't do security guarding. We don't have force of guards, but we manage the force of guards in big infrastructures. Why? So you have the company who have the guards. What we do? We create all the security and risk management program for a company, and we control. We create the SOPs, the standard operational procedure for the workforce. We have an embedded consultant in the infrastructure who is looking at the service of the guards. We use also technology. We use radars. We use drones. We use sensors. You know, so it's an interaction now. Security, physical security, for example, is an interaction of technology and classic security, guards on foot. But you have to specialize that guards. You know, if the guard have to work in a port, you have to be specialized in port security. If the guard work in a mining installation, you have to be specialized in mining security. You have to be specialized in the kind of industry. You have to understand what you have to do. A guard is not only a person with a rifle, you know, with a 12-gauge rifle. Is part of a process on an organization of physical security. You have to understand what you have to do, how you have to do it. And also it's very important in that way that the guards think, feels is doing something important. It's not only the guy who is in a tower, who is in a gate, is part of the system. So you have to give to that people, especially the security guards, formation, training, good condition of living in the place they are, you know, good weapons, good food, good bedding. All of that is very important, especially when you are working in places where you don't go to home in 15 days. You work in deserts, you work in jungles, you work sometimes in places where you don't go all the nights to your home. So you have to be sure your guard force is well managed, well fed, well lodged, well trained, and they understand what they do. In that way, they do their work better.
So the security guards, I mean that is employees for the company then, for let's say like a mining, the company mining, they have their own
employee. So we do all the subs. We say how many guards they need. We also train the guards for the operation. On a guard company, put the guards, for example, 150 guards, and we manage the guard force. Also, we do all the control quality or the assurance of the guarding company. So they have to pay the guards at time, they have to send the food at time, all that, we control all that. So in that way, you don't have problems with the guards. No corruption, no problem. You know, when you are operating at big scale in some parts of the world, and the food is not okay, you are working under harsh condition with rains, with a lot, you know, all the natural things can happen. It's very important that people are working in good conditions. Why sometimes, and we have seen that in that continent, the workforce start a manifestation in the operation, and that is a big problem. Why you have also external problems with communities, with organized crime, with robberies, and all that. So you don't want something inside, you know. You don't want problems inside.
Okay, there's a question from Mr. Andreas. Please do so, Mr. Andreas.
Okay, yeah. Hi, Juan Carlos. Yeah, I have questions actually. How is security service provider handled in the Guatemala or in your region in general? Is it under certain government entities such as police or Department of State? And how do you think about the competency of security service providers in your country or in your region, and how ASIS can help in this matter? Thank you.
Okay, Andreas, hello. So in each country is a private security law. Okay, normally on all the region as a fight with that problems. So why in the past you don't, the governments had no control of private security. So you have a lot of companies who are not operating, who was not operating under a clear rules, not only of operation but also in the legal side of the business. So for the past 10 years, a lot of countries have created security government, so national security laws, but the application of the law is very slow. Why? Okay, you have a very good law, but you have to put it in action. And the problem is that is a lot of things to control, and you don't have the people to do it. so we still having problems with the private security providers, especially in the workforce. But what happens? So companies, when you have to select a provider, so you select a provider who have his licenses a day, who have processes, who understand the physical security in the whole picture, you know. So what happens? The market, the companies who are not the shadowy companies become to work only with shadowy people. And the companies who follow the rules, who have licenses, who have training in their guards, work with businesses and companies who are looking for that quality and that assurance. So the market itself starts to change with the laws, but we still need to do more progressions in that way. So why finally the companies who still operating in a gray manner, they are doing bad competency, so to the legitimate companies, and that is a problem. When you bid for a contract and the client receive bids from companies who are not very legitimate, obviously the price of the company who don't follow human rights, who don't pay the people right, who don't pay insurance and all that, the proposal every time is less than the proposals from a good company, you know. So we have that problems, but the market are changing. We have that problems here.
Okay. How about the competency of the personnel? Is it already good according to your from your perspective? I mean.
So I am not in the workforce business, but I've said before, we control the quality and assurance of workforces for our clients. So it's a big business. Guards is a very complicated business if you want to do it right. Why, as everybody knows, the most fragile piece in risk management, what is? Andreas, for example, what do you think it is? It's a human factor. It's a human factor. Technology, processes, hardware can be repaired, can be changed, can be updated. But human factor is the weakest link in risk management, ever. No matter in physical security, no matter in cyber security, it's no matter in information security. You know, every time when is a problem, mostly it comes from a human factor. So managing a big workforce is a lot of human factor. So it can be a lot of problems.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so
You're
there's
welcome.
a question. The first one is from Mr. Aditya, and after that, Mr. Mirza. Please, Mr. Aditya.
Yes, thank you, Pak Siko. Hi, Juan.
Aditya?
Yes, you mentioned about the Latin America and Caribbean in the beginning of the presentation.
Yes.
So my question is, what is the Latin America and Caribbean security concern in the emerging global order in the current situation? That's my question. Thank you.
Can you, in the current situation of geopolitical problems, you refer Aditya? Aditya?
We are talking about the pandemic, about the terrorism, about the current situation in the global order now. So the exactly question is, what is the security concern in the Latin America and the Caribbean to the act about the solve the problem with this current situation?
Okay, so you know, the pandemic has exacerbated a lot of security and risk management concerns. Mostly, most of the companies in our part of the world and in your part of the world will be starting concerned, companies and individuals, by the cyber delinquency, the cyber criminals. First of all, why in a more integrated world, you know, everybody, starting from an individual to a company, have interaction, you know, with the digital world for control CCTV cameras, for control drones, for control ships with containers, for control machinery in some plants is everywhere. So the cyber threat is one of the biggest, I think, globally, you know, globally. After, obviously, as we know, some countries of the world are using cyber criminals to do a shadow war in the net, you know. So some countries attacks other countries using hackers, and that is a geopolitical level. Okay, so that is a threat who affect all the world. Okay, and after that, so I have said before, here we are used to live with threats. We are used to live with different kind of threats, physical, from the organized crime, natural disasters, and all that. So we have a lot of resilience. You know, it's not like countries. For example, I know where you are. You have also typhoons, and maybe tsunamis, maybe tremors also. But and you are used to have it. You know, people who don't live in that kind of part of the world, when they feel a little tremor, they are very scared. When you feel a little tremor, it's only a little tremor, right? You don't start to you don't start to cry. Okay, so it's the same for the security and risk management environment here. You know, we have a lot of resiliency, but I think the bigger threat for all of us is the new technology and the integration of the new technology in all operations. It's a bigger threat for everybody. Cybercriminals.
Thank you.
Oke, silakan Pak Mirza, please, Pak Mr. Mirza.
Hi, and this is Mirza here, Mendo. Okay, so just
Hello,
want to.
Mirza.
Hi, thank you. Just want to actually ask a question from you regarding you're one of the what you can say the challenging experience that you have in your life. Okay, from the security point of view. And second question that I'm having is around the advice that you can give to those professionals who don't have a military background, like what type of the skills they should develop, or what type of the certification, they should just try to earn that might help them in upcoming days or in future in security industry.
Okay, Mirza. So you are asking to me what was the biggest challenge I've faced in my career. Yes.
Right.
So it's not one in a life, on a path of life or a path of career. You don't face only one challenge. You face different challenges at different levels. So the people like to normally to see the big things. Big things are the things you see more easily. But really, the big challenge are in the little things. Why, without little things, without details, you cannot do big things. Sometimes you focus on the big thing and you don't understand why the big thing is not working. It's not working why you don't keep attention of the details. So you build, for example, you build you build a passage, but you don't build the gate to go to the passage. So you never reach the other side where is the building. So professionally, being in that industry, in security, in the military is different. I've been in challenging situations. I've been in wars. I've been in recovery operations. I've been helping people. So it's a lot of challenges. In the private industry, the same. You know, but I cannot say I have one challenge in my life. You have a lot of different challenges. So you don't have to measure the challenges by how big they are, but you have to measure the challenges in the way what little details I have been done by me to reach and to confront or to solve that big challenge that life or my job given to me. That is my answer to your question. Also, in the other side, for the certification, it depends. It depends on, security and risk management have a lot of flavors, a lot of different tourisms. I cannot believe the people who say, I am an expert an expert on security and risk management. But actually, that is impossible. Why? Our jobs are very different. There's a lot of different flavors, a lot of different origins. It depends on what kind of industry you work. It depends on your background or where you want to go. But it's important to know what certifications you have at end to be a better professional and to excel on what you do. So obviously, we are in ASIS. You have the APP certification with a mid-level certification, which very well, is a very good idea. In the past, ASIS only have the CPP, PSP, and PCE, okay? But the APP for young professionals is a very good starter point to go to the higher certification of ASIS, okay? A young professional is not only a young people. It can be somebody who have started in the security industry with 40 years or 45 years. It's possible sometimes. Life change and people change. Sometimes your path bring you to a place where you never think of before. So starting with the ASIS certification, it depends of your specialty. Also, you have a lot of certification who are interesting. For example, if you work in cybersecurity, obviously. Interesting certifications if you work in the gas and oil industry, in the port security, airport security. And if you are focused on do consultancy, also you can study a very interesting certification in ASIS and outside ASIS. The most important thing here is have a clear path of career and understood what do you need to reach the objectives you have in your professional development. I have answered to your question, Mirza.
Thank you, Mendo. Just actually regarding the challenge that I was asking was, I mean, that's okay. You have too many challenges. That's why it's very difficult to select. But I mean, for us, like for being in a dry life, we haven't experienced that much. So what we are trying to do is like, I mean, when somebody share their hard-learned experience, so at least we can have some takeaway from there. But I mean, it's fine. I mean, I can understand that. I mean, it's a diverse culture, or you can say diverse experience that you have in your career. So that's why it's very difficult to select one. Thank you.
Yes, it's difficult. Why? I don't believe one challenging example can cover all the challenges you can face like a security or risk management professional. It's just an anecdote. It's just a little time, and you cannot live in the past. When you have solved that problem, go ahead. The future don't live in the rooms of the past. So what you have done in the past is a brick who have participated to build you, but don't stay there. Don't stay there.
Thank you for your advice, for sure.
You're welcome, Mr.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mirza. So now, before Pa Peter, well, so I have Amparo. Yeah, please, you raise your hand.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nico, for acknowledging me. I have a simple question for Mr. Mendo. Did the FARC agreement with the Colombian government lead to political and social stability in Colombia, based on your personal perspective? The FARC is the Fuerza Alternativa Revolucionaria del Común. That's all. Thank you.
Amparo,
Yes.
Your name. I have a hound with Amparo also in Spain.
Yes. Thank you.
So Colombia is a very difficult place amongst politics, social, all that is why the situation in Colombia being driven by the organized crime for so many years. The situation in the 60s, when the guerrillas have started, when some kind of communism or socialism was sold like a liberation of the people. No, at the 20th century, we know that was not like this. We know that was not like this. But a lot of people still being that idea. You know, obviously in Colombia you have a mix of all that. So the people who have started the guerrillas, if you read why they have started that, it's understandable. It's for that Mexico have its revolution. You know, Mexico was the first big revolution in the modern world before Russia, but they don't become communists. Okay, and we understand. So it's a lot of land, a lot of people, and only a few people who own the land, and you have never nothing. You are there only for work. There are Republican ideas. So I was raised in France, and you know, France was seen in the past like the nation who give the Republican ideas to the world. So you can be born as a peasant, and you can become a lawyer in France. That's the idea of the French Republic. You know, equality, fraternity. That is the idea of the French. Will go in the world, go in Latin America. Obviously, most of the republics of Latin America were formed with that idea. After they become other things, you know, with the time. But Colombia is very deep. Is a very complicated place. You know, it's a big country with different climates, like Brazil. You know, or different expectations, different cultures also. You have people who live in the Amazonian side of Colombia, who are communities who live like the old times. They're indigenous communities, but they speak Spanish, but they speak their language. They clothes are they typical clothes. They don't use blue jeans on shirts. You know, in the north of Colombia, in the Pacific, for example, you have a part who is named Choco. And Choco, well, is a jungle in the Pacific, and was slaves from boats who sunk near there, mostly French, Dutch, and English boats. Why the Spaniards don't do slavery, are saved by the Indians, by the communities, indigenous communities from Choco, and they live in Choco with their architecture, their music, and we have linked from where they come from Africa, why they still doing art, they're still building these homes and doing the same music from all that years, and we know they are from Cameroon or they are from other parts of Africa by that. So Colombia is really a big puzzle with the people. So imagine in the politics, all that mixed with the narco traffic. So it's very difficult to lead a country like that. Very, very difficult. The left side of the politics in Colombia are totally linked with the narco traffic. The problem is, in most of the countries of Latin America, you don't have a center. It's very, very polarized. So some policies, some were acceptable in Europe, in Asia, in other parts of the world, they are not acceptable here. Why here you have to be from right or from left. It's not in the middle. It's nothing in the middle. So I think that political maturity have to come to some countries to solve that problems, and to understand that you cannot be in the far side. You have to search something will fit to everybody, but in the center.
Muchas gracias, JC Mendo.
So where you come
Gracias,
from,
Amparo.
Amparo? Amparo, where are you come from?
From the Philippines.
Are you from
Filipinas.
Philippines? Yeah.
Yes, I'm
And then-
I'm also a member of the Overseas Security Advisory Council of the U.S. Embassy,
okay.
like
Okay.
JC Mendo.
Nice to meet
you.
you, Amparo.
I was invited by Felix Anggit.
Oh, okay, okay. Felix Angus here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amparo. Yeah. So one more question from Mr. Peter. Yeah, this is our chairman.
Okay.
Mendo.
Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. So my understand that your security company operates in Central and Latin America, and I just checked that there are actually about 20 countries and very diverse countries. So if I say that we operate in 20 countries in Europe, is I think is much more easier than in Central and Latin America. Yeah. My question is, when let's say one multinational company, they want to operate in one country, let's say Peru or Colombia, and they need your advice or consultation advice, how you gather your information from the country, let's say intelligence. Yeah. Could you rely on the police or military, or you have intelligence network, or go to the security company like Prosegur? Yeah, Prosegur is a big company there, or you send your own people to have a mission to gather the information? Is the first question. And the second is how you let's say you have to buy that information. I mean how you pay. Yeah, because mostly as you mentioned, they are very corrupt or very messy government. Yeah. So how you gather and you collect this information for advising a multinational company that want to operate in that certain country? Thank you.
Okay, Peter. So first of all, we have to understand what kind of operations wants to do the company in a difficult environment. It can be Colombia, it can be Mexico, it can be in a lot of places. So the companies, what they see is the opportunity to do business, sometimes very good business, and they have to accept the risk they face doing that business. Okay, so they need an assessment, they need intelligence, first of all, to make decisions. So the intelligence gathering process have different levels. It depends of what the objective of the company is. Okay. So we use intelligence analysts, political analysts, for do reports, but also in some cases we have to send people on the ground. Okay, so you have open source intelligence. You have that with data on open source information, and after you do an analysis about that, and you deliver a product. But sometimes you need to go to places and do investigation, human intelligence, humans. Okay, so there you send, or you have people who go in the ground and test the ground, and also it depends what you are searching. So sometimes, for example, when a company want to do an operation, a joint venture, or they are interested to buy an operation somewhere, you have to send people to see if that is real.
Yeah.
You have to send people to the place to speak with the communities, to speak with the people around there, to feel all it feels there. You know, and all that contacts, obviously, when we are talking about big businesses, you have contact with the intelligence agencies of the country. the police, etc., etc. So you have to have contact with them, you know, when you are working, not in shadows. Okay, that is compliance is very important. Compliance, and with all that, so you put that in your receipt, and depends of the operation, depends of the goals of the company, you deliver an intelligence product. In big in big row that is a formula.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You have to. It's very important. Most of the international companies or regional companies will work with compliance. Compliance is very important. You have to avoid corruption. Absolutely. Why? If you open the little door of corruption, by the little door comes to you a big monster, and you become a slave of that monster.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Juan. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. You're welcome.
Yeah. My last question, I think this will be the conclusion for today. Since you're in the international company in a decision, is there any like comparing notes between the region, so you will know the global situation as a whole? Let's say that you have either an annual or like a monthly or weekly conversation, and then comparing notes with other branches in Europe and also in North America, and then you get the what's called it like a resume for the global situation for security. Is there any?
So Decision really is a company who work on tailored projects.
Okay.
Okay. So each part of the company are responsible of this part of the world. So, for example, the part of Europe is EMEA, which means Europe, Africa, or Eastern. Yeah. Canada, North America, with not only North America and Canada. On us here in Latin America, so we are responsible of our territory. Our profile is very low profile. Why? We don't need publicity with the activities we do. So, but we are a tailored solution, totally tailored. So we like to be seen like a Swiss knife. You know, we have a solution for what you need in the moment or in the long term. So it's in that way we work. So yes, we do. Sometimes we do some reports, you know, on situations. Can be focused on certain industries. It can be focused on certain political situation and all that. But also what we do is a specialized report for our clients. If you are in the mining industry, or if you are in the international travel industry, you know, you need to know some things. You need to be aware or monitor some situations. It's not the same situations from the mining than another industry. So what we do really a specialized service. It's not we cannot. We think we want to take too much, don't take nothing finally. You cannot embrace all.
Yeah, because I think that there's like a coordination also, because maybe you have like a global clients, for example. So yes. Is there like so I mean that you serve them in North America and other part of the world, and also of course in Latin America.
Yes, see, absolutely. But each so the clients who comes from North America to us. So obviously it's a coordinated operation, for example, but finally is the client of our branch in North America.
Okay.
So
yeah. Okay. I think that's all. Thank you so much for your allocate your time for this webinar. So we get a lot of things to know about the Latin America especially, and then and also some of condition also relate to Indonesia. For example, like the pandemic in this case, also the national disasters we also have, but mostly it's a flood and also earthquake also. Yeah. Okay, then the last part usually we have a take a picture together. So teman-teman tolong dinyalakan kameranya, kita ambil foto sebelum berakhir. Okay. Semua sudah. Okay, so Pak Randy, Pak Arif. Okay, so I will count to 3. 1, 2, and
I'm okay,
3.
Pak Chico.
Yeah, yeah. You okay, Pak Arif? Okay. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you so much, Juan. Thank you so much, everyone. Terima kasih semua yang sudah hadir. Kita ketemu lagi bulan depan.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, take care. Keep
Healthy,
Juan. Bye-bye.
I am at your disposition. Please, if you want to talk with me about something, only contact Chico, and Chico give you my contact details.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
So, keep healthy,
Thank you.
everyone. So see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.